Okay, so you have your Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram vehicle, Fiat, at the dealership, and they're having a problem figuring it out. So there's a lot of dealerships that have a lot of young, inexperienced technicians, and when they get your check engine light, your battery drain, your electrical concerns, that tends to throw a lot of them through a loop when they don't have a known database pointing to the problem, or the scan tool is throwing a code they're not familiar with. So you got your vehicle at the shop. What do you do as a consumer? How do you deal with that problem? Well, one thing that you should know is, how do they operate? Okay, this is a perfect example laid out, sent to every dealership, and I can't tell you how many dealerships never read this stuff. Managers don't train their technicians on this stuff. Now, yes, they're going to know what the Star Center is, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but it's never really utilized correctly, in my opinion. And this is a great example of how it should be done. And this is direct from the Star Center. This is what they want dealer technicians to do in situations. So let's go through this. All right, your vehicle's in there. This is a criteria to open a Star case. Now, why did they create this criteria? There's a lot of dealer technicians that open Star cases before checking the obvious, and it wastes a lot of time. Also, it really wastes the customer's time, especially if you're waiting at the dealership trying to get a diagnosis quickly. So, again, it's a lot of this is determined by the experience of the technician. In the end, whatever dealer technician you get is really, you're just at the mercy of their experience. And unfortunately, we have a lot of younger, inexperienced techs now in the industry due to shortages. So here we go. Service library. If they're not checking information on Dealer Connect, then we're not going to find the problem on your vehicle potentially. Service bulletins. Again, they use a website called Dealer Connect. It's dealership access website, proprietary. That's what they use at the Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram dealers. So they're looking for a technical service bulletin for the code they found when they scanned your vehicle. I guess maybe they didn't find one. Okay, your car's still not fixed. Then they can check for recalls and stuff like that. Usually the service writer is going to know there's a recall before it gets to the technician when they plug in your vehicle to write your vehicle up when you've arrived at the dealership. Next, Star Online Publications. That's the Star Center, which is a technical assistance center that is creating this criteria and is also responsible for assisting technicians and foremen in diagnosing cars. Now, they're not engineers like a lot of people think. They actually are designed as a help center, call center for technicians only. That's all they do all day long. And a lot of them are retired technicians sitting at a desk in between looking in their own personal databases at the Star Center. Star Center has their own private, non-public database with all the different oddball case files that they can go through and maybe even talk to an engineer if they need to. Tech tips. Okay, so there's the tech tips. That's part of the Dealer Connect website as well. Not too helpful in my experience. Senior technician. They can ask a senior technician or a shop foreman, but unfortunately, because a lot of technicians work commission at the dealerships, they don't want to help as much as they need to help. Unless the employer at the dealer and management is willing to pay that foreman or senior technician a salary, it's very hard to get these foremen and shop team leaders to help out for the amount of time they need to help to train the younger techs. That's just not happening in my experience. It's just really unfortunate. Master tech. I am a retired Mopar Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Master Tech, and there's very few that I'm aware of in California, at least, and we're a really dense, well-funded state. I don't think you're going to find many Master Techs at your Dodge Jeep Ram dealers. I think that's going to be hard to find, but that's basically somebody that's at the top of their game, education-wise and experience-wise, 10 plus years experience, and experience in all areas on top of that. A lot like an ASE Master Tech. So now, this is a recommended procedure for opening a Star case. Difficult concerns that have not been diagnosed within one day at the dealership. After all the above have been exhausted. Repeat repairs and comebacks. Now, there's a lot of unhappy customers that drive Jeep Wranglers, Wagoneers, and they're getting to be really familiar with what comebacks are and what they mean. And it also greatly affects the customer or the dealership's reviews and fixed first visit scoring, and it upsets everybody, not just the customer. Dealerships get upset by it. Technicians hate having comebacks because then they have to recheck it for free. So it causes a lot of heat in all areas, and that leads to more problems in diagnosing if they're already frustrated. Okay, so new vehicle launches and vehicles that are in filled early warning, I'm not worried about that. Required parts that are star restricted. Sometimes high failure parts on newer Jeep Ram vehicles, for example, if there's turbos that are going out left and right and they cost thousands, they put the part on restriction just to make sure that these are being replaced properly and diagnosed correctly, so the car company doesn't lose a bunch of money, basically. All right, we have a flow chart here. So they created a STAR technical assistance roadmap, and it's hard to read, but return vehicle to customer. Sorry, where do we go? Start. Use the service write-up process. Can the concern be duplicated? Yes or no. If it cannot be duplicated, say it's intermittent check engine light, you perform the no trouble found check sheet. Almost nobody ever performs that check sheet at the dealers that I worked at. I don't know about the dealer you're having your vehicle checked at, but that probably should be done in return vehicle to customer. Now, let's say it can be duplicated. Is it condition and normal vehicle characteristic? No. That's most likely no. In my experience, it's not normal. Okay, now you conduct a vehicle diagnosis. And then we go here to, if needed, review concern with shop foreman or lead tech. That's if there's a foreman and a lead tech available. Maybe their time is not valued, maybe they are not paid salary, so maybe they're not allowing that technician to help out the younger techs. That can happen very easily. Okay, next step. Did vehicle diagnosis lead to a successful repair? Well, probably not if you've been back multiple times. So we'll say no. Now they want you to initiate a STAR technical assistance request within the service library. Okay, so that's something that the dealer's technicians on their proprietary website called Dealer Connect can initiate a STAR case. That STAR case is going to be something that only the dealership can do. Even if you have an independent shop, they don't have access to the STAR Center. And they basically, the independent shops, this is one big reason that they recommend cargo to dealership, because they're under the impression that the STAR Center is going to be able to figure this out. And I can tell you from experience, STAR Center agents, unfortunately, I had a job offer from them, and after the years of working with STAR Center, I realized that they're mostly other manufacturer retired technicians. Lots of Ford diesel technicians, lots of GM technicians. Not a lot of Dodge technicians I found are working at the STAR Center, which blows my mind because they're completely different products. They are an aftermarket company that runs the STAR Center. They're not at all owned by Dodge. It's kind of, hit and miss as far as quality. But this is all you have as a Jeep owner when you have comeback or your car keeps repeatedly having issues. You go to the dealership. Now you're going and you're finding that, okay, I need you guys to figure it out. Okay, well, let's do a STAR case. They do a STAR case. Now that STAR Center has to make the decisions on what to replace next. And I don't know how they get paid or what kickbacks they have, but I'm sure that the car company, which is Stellantis, Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is owned by Stellantis, European conglomerate. Well, I don't know that they like losing money, so they want good return on their investment. But unfortunately, when you get people that are paid $20 an hour to basically give their experience and opinion from a completely different car company, it doesn't work out too well. So I think that's a lot of the reasons that we have so many issues with resolving intermittent issues on Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram vehicles, but that's just my opinion. Moving on. Performing a quality check to verify the concern has been repaired. Return vehicle to customer. But let's say no, it wasn't successful. Okay, we go here. Update star case and await further instructions. All right, well, we get a bunch of communication now that happens. It used to be with a phone call, now it's through text messaging, and it's really a slow process. It can take days to get responses sometimes, and it can drag out. Test this, all right? Let me clear out my bay. Okay, it took me a day to get my bay clear, checked it again. Oh, all right, now I gotta wait 4 hours for a response. There's no way the customer's waiting at this point. And now you're probably in a rental car, a loaner car, and without star case documentation with timestamp, the dealer's not going to get paid for that rental by the manufacturer. So they are on top of trying to get, resolution as fast as possible so they don't lose out on rental costs, which, by the way, the car companies and dealers get way huge discounts on car rentals. They get like rental cars for $30 a day. That's one thing that's part of the handshake deal with car companies. They sell cars to enterprise for a big discount, but they have to also return the favor and offer rental cars to dealers for $30 a day. It's a crazy discount. So anyways, moving on. Say this drags out with messages back and forth. If Star Center has exhausted all resources, cases will be escalated to the Business Center Technical Advisor for support. Now at this point, this is the last resort before lemon law takes effect. All right. Now, lemon law is going to they're going to try and avoid lemon law at all costs. So when they do that, the last resort is sending out a tech advisor. They're a technician with usually associate's degree in automotive technology, or they just work their way up as an instructor and switch to a technical advisor. They may or may not have actual experience working on cars, but usually they do. And in my experience, they're pretty good with all manufacturers, the technical advisors. They wouldn't be working in that position if they weren't good. But they now have to get a scheduled room at a hotel. They have to drive hours to your dealership usually. And at that point, they're going to try and figure it out with you in person. They check it out and they make a decision. And these are almost always warranty repairs. Almost never will you get a technical advisor on a customer pay job. And that's when people don't realize that you're paying 30% higher to 50% higher costs for customer pay out of warranty jobs, but you're not getting that level right there. You're not getting a technical advisor to come out. They're just almost never going to do it on Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram unless you're down the street already and they're passing by because of the cost. They're doing this for free when it's out of warranty, basically, and free when it's in warranty, but they don't like losing money on out of warranty cars. That's just the way it is. So anyways, this is a really good form. It talks about how the Star Center operates and the flow chart they want you to follow. I don't know of any dealer technicians that ever really posted this anywhere, but maybe some dealerships have this posted, this flow chart. It's really helpful, and it talks about all kinds of, do's and don'ts on dealing with the Star Center. Maybe your vehicle is not getting fixed, and maybe the dealership needs to review this documentation.